and I'm not of the heart. Nothing's ever meant to break me. That's all I got. That's my best.
We're live, by the way. I just thought I'd start on that high.
That's good. That's totally fine. Next time we do that, I should probably bring up the lyrics.
Please clip that. That's our intro song for next week. Then we'll sing the DS9. No, we can sing the Next Generation theme instead.
No, next week I'll sing us a rendition of HMS Pinafore.
Oh, go on then. He's all made that promise, and you've all seen it who are watching right now. Right, everyone, welcome to TC Stream. Welcome to TC's weekly Trek Central stream. No, that's us. Star Trek stream, that's what it is. I've not even put the tweet out yet. Let's go and do that. And then we'll actually do the proper intro once we start. But hello, everyone in the chat. Thank you for coming out. I need to make sure I tweet from the right account. This isn't a Star Wars stream. That would be a bit embarrassing. It's not like I did that the other week by accident. I've already made that mistake. No, I tweeted at the Mandalorian trailer and put hashtag Star Trek there instead. Nobody noticed until I did a day later. Or nobody mentioned it to me.
They were just letting it ride. Okay.
Let's watch him fuck it up. Let's watch it. We're live on YouTube. Join at Captain Jack. That's not how we spell it. Can't spell him.
Oh, it's Captain Jack.
Captain Jack. Ketwolski. And
no, that's definitely not. No.
Captain Ketwolski.
Make sure you get the right Dominic this time. Now.
Oh yeah, it's not his cousin.
Yeah, pull it together.
I'm trying my best. Stop criticizing.
I don't think you are.
Star Trek Lower Decks. And what else are we discussing? NYCC 2020. There
probably we're going to also do a ranking of all of the greatest theme songs of Star Trek shows.
Oh, yeah.
Number 1, Faith of the Heart. Number 2...
It is the best song. Like, I've just finished watching Enterprise again. Actually, I've not finished
Faith of the Heart again.
I'm on... No, can you agree with me here, though? When they changed it, so it's more like the rock version in like season 3 and 4, trash, absolute trash.
Yes,
I preferred the original.
And upbeat.
I know, it's like get rid of the fucking like whatever it is. Sorry, I'm swearing way too early.
It doesn't work for season 3 because it's like, she's getting tortured. Faith of the Heart.
She's got Faith of the Heart.
Oh, reach any star.
Nothing's ever gonna bend or break her. Yeah, she's got Faith.
Apart from that torture chamber.
Yeah, those are my favorite episodes. The episodes where they only feature.
Hello, everyone. We're live. Okay, welcome to Trek Central's weekly Star Trek live stream. That was a bit of a roller coaster start there. This is how our intros usually go, but we don't usually broadcast the rest of it. We're going to be discussing Lower Decks episode 7 and also New York Comic Con, which is appearing with Star Trek Universe, and also we might touch on the Paramount Plus news, but Nick has done an entire video on that, so you can go watch his channel on that one, as that is interesting to say the least. Anyway,
yes, I did.
Tonight I'm obviously joined by Nick. How are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks for asking. I'm also joined by Dom, who's in a different room and not using the bed sheets this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no bed sheets on.
Well, I feel we need to point out you are wearing a Twitch shirt while we're streaming on YouTube. Do you intend for like the wrath of Twitch to come down on us?
All my Star Trek shirts needed to be ironed, so
you could have just not ironed it. No one would have known.
Yeah, not to be ironed.
Needs to be ironed.
But I can't imagine you sat there doing the ironing, to be honest. Do you have like a little table for it as well, you know? Or board in this case?
Obviously.
I just can't imagine it, to be honest.
Where else are you doing it, iron?
I don't know, on the wall. You could be adventurous. Anything could happen. We need like a day in the life of Dom. 100k subscribers to get that.
Ooh.
I like that. A nice POV camera right on your forehead, right on the beanie. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It's partially obstructed. Yeah.
Holds,
Wake up at 9 a.m, sing Faith of the Heart, quick shower, more Faith of the Heart.
Yeah. No, his alarm on his phone is Faith of the Heart. That's
it is. Yeah.
It's you singing it. That's enough to wake a house up.
Yeah, and you can't turn it off. It plays the whole song.
The whole song.
2.5 minutes.
I'm gonna set my Alexa to do that now. Just to play that every morning. You can set it to like wake you up. I'm gonna do that tomorrow morning. No, I'm gonna do it now. Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well. Obviously, we're discussing Lower Decks this week and of New York Comic Con, which I'm about to touch on. But welcome and thank you for all coming out this week. We're back next week as per usual. Don't forget, and we're here every week for the 23 weeks of Star Trek, and we are in what week are we in right now? We're in week 7 technically, but yeah.
7 technically.
So how many more weeks?
That's a bit of a cheat. So
how many weeks we got to go?
We have 16.
16 weeks. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, Jack, I don't do math.
3 Lower Decks.
Neither do I do math.
Discovery.
That's why I asked our resident, genius over here to do it.
Yeah, he's the one in school, so...
Don't you give me that sarcastic Vulcan salute. I saw that.
Did you? What was this? Get out of here with this.
They do that.
It's like the, street version of the Vulcan salute, isn't it? That's my polite way of putting it. I was going to say Roadman version, but I'm not sure if the American crowd would get that reference, to be honest, but...
No, I don't think.
If you do you not know what it is, Don?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, right. That's fair enough. I was going to say, if you didn't, that would be weird. Anyway, let's get into New York Comic Con news before we spiral out of control. You can already tell this stream is going to be an interesting one. So strap in. Let's talk about Star Trek Universe at New York Comic Con coming in October. So in order to make my week even busier, CBS have decided to schedule New York Comic Con in October. Yay! And this is just before the airing of Discovery, I believe, because we've got Discovery. That's September, Jack. You're reading the wrong calendar. Yes, we've got Discovery on October 15th. That's when episode 1 airs. However, now on October 8th and 11th of 2020 in October, New York Comic Con is coming down, and this is bringing the Star Trek Universe panel. What do we know so far? Well, according to the writers of Star Trek Prodigy, this is, of course, the new Nickelodeon animated series coming from Dan and is it Kevin Hageman, I believe his name is? I always forget. I get them confused with the guys who wrote Game of Thrones. They're going to be doing some sort of announcement there. It's not been confirmed yet. However, they're tweeting about it. One of the other writers or executive producers, Julie something, I think she's called, was also tweeting about it. That's the one. I don't have the tweet to hand. I should put that up later. So yeah, what do we know so far? Well, apparently panels will include a back-to-back block of programming. Essentially expect a similar thing to San Diego Comic-Con, which is earlier this year. I imagine it's going to be a pre-recorded thing. Whether it will be streamed live or it's just going to be uploaded as a video, we don't know just yet. Hopefully it's a live stream. That gives us more to do and it's more fun for everyone. But if not, it's going to be a video. So far, it's featuring cast and producers from Star Trek Lower Decks, Discovery, and surprise guests. Have a feeling the surprise guests are going to be Prodigy related, and we're going to unveil more news about that series. Given its animation, much like Lower Decks, we know they're most likely making great headway with the production of a series in a minute compared to the live action counterparts, which is of course Picard and Strange New Worlds. Discovery is also in an element of pre-production for season 4, but that's even not confirmed yet, or it's not confirmed in quotation marks. We know it's all confirmed, Alex. Just tell us already. Excuse me.
Just eat an apple on a webcam.
Can we get that? Can we? I want to request an interview with Kurtzman and force him to eat an apple halfway through. It'd be great.
Yeah,
it's still kind of weird.
I think so with Prodigy. I think what we're gonna get is probably something similar to what happened with Lower Decks last year, where they did the character posters and they released what they looked like. And kind of showcased the animation based off of that. You kind of got an idea. Yeah, I think we're gonna do the same thing because they didn't have anything to show at the upfronts, which was earlier this year, and then COVID happened, and then they redid the title card, and they made it look a little bit more kid-friendly. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be able to showcase there. But my guess is beyond just the title is we're probably going to get maybe some character names, maybe casting announcements, and then maybe I'm hoping that we actually get some designs of some of the characters.
Possibly.
I'm hoping we get more than we got for Lower Decks because we only got like the bridge crew and Lower Decks. I'd like to see if there is a ship, you can see a ship.
That'd be nice if there's a ship, yeah.
Concept art or whatever, just to get us in the feel of what this show is going to be about because it sounds, from what we've heard, quite different from even Lower Decks, which is another animated show. So it'd be nice to see some good information from that panel.
No, so we've got Lower Decks and Discovery also turning up at New York Comic Con once again. I have a feeling we're probably just going to touch on Discovery Season 3 trailer. Given it's a week away, so this will be taking place on October 8th and 11th. Given it's a week away from Discovery launching and the Lower Decks final, I expect we might get a little bit of tidbit of information or maybe some hints of what to expect. But honestly, they're probably going to be cagey about it, given it's a week away from a premiere. Also, given that Lower Decks final is on October 8th, the panel on Lower Decks might discuss how the season's gone down or any revelations at the end of the season. Given Mike McCann is a big fan of Next Generation, and Next Gen was famous for giving us those cliffhangers, like the best of both worlds, leaving us like there for ages. Luckily, I wasn't born young enough to actually watch that. I think having to wait for the best of both worlds part 2 would have killed someone. Killed many out there. God bless Netflix. I have a feeling Lower Decks is going to do...
Legacy Trek fans are so jaded. They have to wait
a whole year. I have a feeling Lower Decks is going to do something similar. I really wouldn't be surprised if the end was like a cliffhanger. Like Samitas is on the comedy and cliffhangers can work well, sometimes not so much. So I would really be interested to see how they're going to do that. If they are going to leave it on some sort of cliffhanger, I expect the panel's going to discuss, that cliffhanger, how things have gone about. Maybe, Q's appearance, as we know that's coming in, and they did tease that just at Star Trek Day. They evidently set Star Trek Day up enough to give us a lot of information, so I'm not sure whether we're going to get much out of New York Comic Con, but it'll be interesting to see, whether it's going to be or not. So,
I would say I agree with what you said, Dom. Is I hope we actually get to see a bit more from Prodigy. I actually at this point, we know nothing about it. I would actually like some hard information about what the hell this show is, because they gave us a synopsis like almost a year and a half ago now. Who the hell knows what this show's about now? We really don't know. I mean, that's just what we're basing those little lines off of. We still know it's for kids, kind of, but that's really all we know. So maybe a year, because one of the things that people brought up that I saw as like an early criticism of the show, because of course we have to criticize something we don't even know anything about yet, is the internet is how is it that supposedly the original pitch thing there was like a bunch of misfit kids found an old derelict Federation ship, and then they got it working, and then they went on wacky adventures, and they're like, well, how could they possibly find this ship and then have Starfleet not alerted to what's going on? And my question is are they maybe going to be putting it during the burn time frame? Are we going all the way up? Are we going all the way into the future with Discovery? I know they talked vaguely about time frames for the show, but that could have changed from then until now. So maybe that's how they were able to do it. Maybe the ship itself wasn't powered on during the burn, and that's how it's still able to work. I don't know. Like maybe that's why it didn't explode like the other starships did when they were in flight or whatever. I don't know. Just an idea that I wanted to throw out towards you guys. Yeah. And that's why the Starfleet doesn't know about it, is because there's like the subspace alert that would be sent out would be blocked, and no one would actually be able to pick it up. So that's how they're able to get away with it. I don't know.
Where's the crew?
I want more information though. Yeah, I just want more info.
If this is an abandoned ship, where's the crew? That's my question.
I mean, there are always crazy ways that the crew have disappeared in Star Trek.
Maybe they blamed it on a key.
Went into a pocket of space where they went into phase, like with the Defiant. Or they went crazy and they just abandoned the ship.
They went crazy.
Well, they had that. They had that mission in Star Trek Online, right? Was it the K7 space station?
Oh yeah.
With the Davidians?
It was the Davidians and the where like, remember you were at like this ancient temple, and like they had like these hieroglyphics on the wall, and it was like Starfleet personnel had abandoned their station and went and kind of influenced the future of this. So like they moved into this civilization, and then they restructured it and all that.
That was like K3.
Was it the K3 station? Or
it's not.
You know
K7,
what I'm talking about,
though. But it's one of those other K-type starbases where it got teleported somewhere else in, I think, the Gamma Quadrant in the past. And they were like, okay, we're running out of resources. Let's teleport down to this primitive planet. And then they just never beamed back up.
Right. Yeah. So it could be something like that. Maybe we have, again, like we don't know anything about this show.
Exactly.
Really.
All we've got is like
interesting stories.
We've got a dated description of it and a logo. That's all we've got to go off of, really, and the fact we've got the writing team as well, and it's like, and we know it's on Nickelodeon, which also brings me to quickly touch on Paramount Plus, which was revealed last week, and the fact CBS All Access will be converting to Paramount Plus, which will be the international rollout for CBS All Access shows and Paramount shows as a whole. Nickelodeon comes under that, so presumably once you've subscribed to Paramount Plus, you'll be able to access Star Trek Prodigy, which is a part of Nickelodeon, not technically CBS All Access in a way, but everything's becoming part of this one big sort of, I guess, sphere of content in a way, so be able to access what you want when you want. Kind of like how Disney Plus operates in a way. You can, of course, access your kids' Disney show, but you can also access like The Mandalorian or The Clone Wars, etc. They're not kids shows. The Clone Wars is not a kids show anymore. Neither is Rebels, for that matter. That's kind of like the thing to go down. So I expect that's how that's going to operate, which is good. But speaking about Paramount Plus, Nick, you obviously touched on this in your video. The name of it is obviously... Well done, guys, on the name of it, as per usual. But this is obviously the big international rollout for it. So why don't you touch this a minute? What do you think this means for like Netflix when it comes to Discovery and Amazon when it comes to Picard?
So both situations are a little weird, right? So we have to look at them independently because they were done independently of each other. So Netflix did have the 3-year streaming deal with Discovery, which is encompassing this final third season. I would be beyond surprised if CBS, for whatever reason, decided to renew that deal with them. I think that this will be the final season. And I think that also lends probably a little bit more into why Netflix is not very interested in promoting this particular show. They haven't even logged into their friggin' Star Trek Discovery Netflix account in like a year. So they're not, I don't think they're very open to that. I've covered that in videos in the past where Netflix views, like internal to their shareholder meetings, you can look at this information. Netflix views CBS All Access as a competitor. And now that they're going global with Paramount Plus, it's probably going to get even worse. So I imagine that deal is going to break down and Discovery is going to be squarely inside of this Paramount Plus thing.
Yeah.
Now, Picard is a little bit different because Amazon's portal is very much different, where like if you go on there, you can access all of these other streaming services through the Amazon web portal by logging into your account. Like if I have a CBS All Access account, I can watch CBS All Access content through the Amazon website just by logging in. I don't have to go to the CBS website to do that. I can do it from Amazon. So it's a little bit weirder in that regard if it's going to be primarily hosted by Amazon or if it's going to be attached to Paramount Plus at this point. And really that the only reason why that's a big concern is will you require both subscription services to watch Picard season 2, or will you just be able to watch it with a Prime membership like you were in the past? My assumption is that the deal with Picard was probably done for a minimum of 2 seasons. I believe that they spoke very heavily about having a 3-season total arc, so they may have clinched all 3 seasons at that point. It's very possible that was a part of that deal. And if that's the case, then that's the case. And, we all got to move on. This isn't super unheard of. I mean, look at the situation with Marvel, where they don't even own half of their good characters because other studios bought them 20 years ago or whatever.
For $1.
So, yeah, right. So it's not a super unheard of situation, but it is going to be a bit frustrating. But it's not clear yet. Anybody who's saying that they know the answer for sure is full of crap. It's definitely not clear yet. We don't know yet. But my theory is that.
It makes perfect sense, really. Like, I don't mind Amazon being a distributor. I find Amazon a lot more easier to use. So I guess I don't mind really. Netflix is good, but I like Amazon because along with offering the series, they also offer great merchandise opportunities as well. Like if you go on Amazon, especially in the UK, I'm not sure how it's for you with Nick, but if we could go to like Star Trek on Amazon now, we get all the merch as well. Considering only the StarTrek.com shop has only just gone international again, it was relieving to have like Amazon able to offer us merch at the start of the year. I think I got me and Dom like Picard t-shirts at the time. I don't know where mine's gone at this point, but we got them at some point. Do you still have yours, Dom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it somewhere.
Mine's gone, so
it's not iron, so he can't bring it out.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in my laundry basket, actually. So.
Wrinkled.
Yeah.
Along with bed sheets and the shirts. Or they're just one.
Yeah, well,
the
bed sheets have a shirt cut out in them, so
just a perfect outline of your body.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Fabric. You got to keep.
Oh my god, I'm just going weird. So that's touching on all the news new at Comic Con and obviously Paramount Plus as well. We'll probably expect more information on the rollout of that coming next year. I don't think we'll see much of it this year. Probably Q2 of next year, I'd imagine, when they start rolling it out.
Real quickly, before we cut over to the Lower Decks episode, I do want to ask and I'm just going to throw this out there so that the chat can also think about this.
Okay.
Do you guys think we're going to get any, other than Discovery Season 4, which is the thing, but do you think we're going to get any season renewal announcements at New York Comic Con, specifically Lower Decks?
I mean, Lower Decks we already know they're doing Season 2, but it depends. Like, I wonder if CBS has seen the success, because whether you like it or not, Lower Decks has been a success in a manner of speaking. Without its international deal, I feel like that could have hampered reviews slightly, or just hampered views. So that is actually a good question, because we know we've got Season 2, but they don't have an international distributor still until Paramount Plus rolls around, which will be obviously in 2021. I imagine Season 2 will air just in time to be on there, unless they decide to bring it forward, which I don't think they're going to do. It's whether they want to renew it just yet for a 3rd or 4th season, unless they've seen how well it does in the international community. Let's be honest, everyone and their dog knows that people are like not pirating, but VPNing in and watching Lower Decks. We see a ton of people doing it on Twitter. CBS knows that. It was the same situation when The Mandalorian came around. Disney knew people were pirating it because there was no other way to watch it. As I say with a lot of things, if I could pay for something legitimately, then I would. But with like Mandalorian, you had to VPN in, and you had to get a mate to pay for it and VPN in. People know they're doing it with Lower Decks. So CBS knows it. So it's like whether they're actually going to renew it based off of that alone, or they're going to wait for international view figures to come in properly so they have concrete data. It really depends on that. But I reckon we might get Discovery Season 4 announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the shows already, they've always given most of them, the renewal news has always come out before the season airs. So we got the renewal for Picard Season 2 before Season 1 aired.
Yeah,
we got the renewal for Discovery Season 3 before Season 2 aired.
Not for
did we not?
Not for Discovery was airing when the 3rd season. That was a big to-do. I remember because it was a big dramatic thing because it wasn't prior to the season, so everyone was circle jerking each other, thinking about how they're going to be canceled. But
then we heard
for the
that there
most
was
part,
a 2-season order for Lower Decks before we
Right.
saw anything.
Right.
So I could see them saying, "Hey, season 4 is a thing for Discovery at New York Comic Con."
That's going to blame Wilson Cruz for leaking
but-
it about 50 times.
Yeah, but we know it's happening. But
right.
they could do it mid-season during whenever that is. It's at Christmas.
Yeah,
I would say
no,
about
it's November,
Hey,
end of November.
that's a good Christmas gift. Just
It is.
after episode 7 or whatever episode that is.
I really
just be like,
wish-
hey, happy Christmas! Season 4's happening.
Am I the only
That'd be
wishing
cool.
they'd take a mid-season break? I wanted Christmas
Yeah,
off,
because now we have to work.
I'm going to come to yours for New Year's Eve. We can do that.
You can, yeah.
Just be
We'll sort that out.
We're doing Discovery's like second to final episode. Pissed, like way. Get Nick on the call as well. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
Look at the enthusiasm drained from his face there.
Yeah.
Right, should we chat about episode 7 because we've ranted on long enough about Face of
Yes.
the Heart and also everything else.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this week, which is Much Ado About Boimler. This episode, loved it. I really enjoyed this episode. Favorite part for me had to be the creepy prison guard guy. So maybe we should turn on some lights or make the place a little bit more fancy. It's like that was actually quite funny. He's very eccentric. Indosian. Is it Indosian? Was it Dom?
And it was an Indosian,
Indosian,
and it's beautiful to see an Indosian again because we haven't seen them. I mean, we've seen them in like comics, but we haven't
Yeah.
seen them since
His
the
ship as
animated
well.
series. And
Right.
the Osler class.
Yeah.
I think we're calling it the Osler class. We don't actually know.
It's an NX as well, which is
that was-
interesting to take note.
Yeah, so it's an NX.
Yep, it was an
So
NX. Yep.
it's his own type of ship, and I loved that whole Division 14 plotline
Yeah.
in this episode.
Also, the new captain
Yeah,
as well. That was interesting. As you can say, Nick.
No, I was gonna say that I was very worried. I actually, right after Boimler kind of told him about the mutiny plot, and he reacted so negatively, I was like, are they really actually playing this like this? I was like, are they actually just keeping these tortured souls on this ship for forever and they're not actually going to the farm? And I was like, this is going to get a little dark. I don't know how I feel about this just yet. Like, this is kind of strange.
Yeah, I had similar feelings, and it's interesting doing it on a rewatch, knowing that the Federation aren't just shoving them away; they are putting them in this nice resort medical facility. And it was the same with the Mariner Captain Ramsey plotline, which is like, that's why Mariner's being so incompetent. When you have that in mind, I enjoyed it much more because I was very worried when I was watching it, being like, the Federation's being shown really bad here.
Yeah, it's not a good
I
look.
don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I was like, this is not what I want. I don't want
I don't
this,
like
you
it.
know? I don't like it. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when they actually arrived. Great twist, great way to flip it and really play with my emotions. I felt watching it the very first time. I was like, they're really gonna, and I was like, they're gonna shoot him into space and he's gonna be phaged, so it's not gonna bother him or whatever. And then they phased back in, and then they were like, we're gonna do it anyways. And then when they opened it, I was like, what the hell is happening? And then he just fell out onto the planet, the farm. I thought it was great. It was really well done, well executed. I think from the creative's perspective, because I think, as Dom, you just said too. I don't know, Jack, if you were kind of fooled as well, but I was definitely fooled. Like when he reacted so badly and he pulled out the phase rifle, I was like, oh shit, like this is serious. It's like, they're not.
And
this
also
isn't
it
like a
really
thing.
sold it by having someone in the DS9 uniform,
Yes,
because then you'd be like, he's been here for a while.
right.
So it really sold it, but he must have just liked that uniform or something.
Right.
It's just kept it.
For me, I thought they were channeling very Section 31 vibes in a way. It's like, this is the deep, dark area of the Federation Starfleet. Nobody talks about that much. Like, they know it exists, we don't know what goes on there. It's like, they're going to farm. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. It's like, just take it back and put a bullet in you. That's problem solved, really. So that's very anti-Federation. Well, hey, where's Picard when we need him? Start having a bit of a long discussion about this one. But yeah, I really enjoyed the whole section of it. The episode as a whole. Do we think the space jellyfish thing was a callback to Encounter at Farpoint? Because I do.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I would say
Space
so,
jellyfish.
yeah. Yeah, space jellyfish for sure. I loved that because I know we've talked a lot about this before, where I constantly say like we need more of that mystic side to Star Trek to come back, and bringing in, which is a term that I think Star Trek Online gave these beings, which is the Cosmozoans, and having these just ancient universe beings that we just don't really understand being there. And it's like, what is it? It's not bad. It's just looking for a place to live. It's just looking for its little shell to hide inside of. I loved that. I was like, tip of the hat, like great job bringing back the Cosmozoans and just having this just this being there. It's like, what is it? It's just a being. Like it's just there.
Like in Encounter at Farpoint, they were using it for energy, / making that facility. So it's nice that this being was inside the Rubido, absorbing energy. I just liked that.
It was a very Star Trek moment for me when Rutherford was running down to like get the transporter online. I felt that was like peak Star Trek in a way. It was like, quickly, we need to beam out now as one person like runs from a bridge. It's very like a LaForge or like Trip Tucker moment where it's running to activate something.
My first thought when I saw that was with Anton Yelchin's
I can do that. Wait. I can do that.
Running through the corridors.
Right.
Yeah, and like how he runs was very similar to how Rutherford ran to the transporter. And the same kind of situation. So I would like to think that was a nice reference to that. Because
I think so. I think it was very much, which was already a reference to other bits of, like it's a reference of a reference of a reference. And I agree. Yeah, like it's a bit of a better reference of the one character running through the halls to do the thing that they've got to do. I thought it was a big Kelvin callback for sure, because everybody especially in Star Trek 2009, everyone's running everywhere. Nobody walks. Like they're like skipping down to get to the captain's chair. Like they're running as soon as the turbo lift doors open. They're hauling ass through the brewery that is the warp engines, and they're just running around.
That was such like a weird design for a warp engine. It makes sense kind of, but also it's like, how friggin' big is this ship in a way? Well, that Enterprise is bloody massive anyway, so. It does matter. It's ruining my immersion, Nick. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just like the Discovery. How big is it? It doesn't matter. You sit
they have those dumbass turbo lifts in there.
It's a fucking roller coaster in there, and it's just all this space. Okay, it doesn't matter. Just don't fucking think about it.
No. It's that thing. I'm still saying that annoyed me with worker bees inside the ship. That just slightly ticked me off ever so slightly.
You don't know how big they are. They could be this big. And
they could be actual bees. They could actually be bees.
They could be actual little tiny
That's why the bees went extinct on Earth. They were all on the fucking Crossfield ships.
That's right.
Bloody Discovery ruining our bees.
That's it.
Gonna blame Discovery.
Easy going.
Yeah, I the whole situation with Mariner. So I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and he was a little frustrated with the character arc of Mariner in this story, and I think it's a bit subtle, but for him it's like, if you look at it at the surface level, it's kind of a bit of a rehash of her character arc, where her character ended at the end of Moist Vessel, which was, I don't want to be promoted, I don't want to get out of Lower Decks, I prefer just to stay here. And it was the same conclusion. And obviously the plot of how she arrived at that same point was wildly different from each episode, from this one and then Moist Vessel. But the conclusion was the same, which is, I don't want to promote, I don't want to go anywhere. Yeah. And I think on the surface level it seems the same, but I felt like it was like there was like a little bit more, like it's turning up a little bit, I feel like. Like she's kind of warming to the idea. Did you guys think what do you guys think about
so she says, I don't know, I kind of need to discover who I am and who I want to be. Which was different than what we saw in Moist Vessels, when she just like, I'm just trying to get demoted. So I enjoyed that, and I hope there's more development, even if it is that small little bit, and where it goes, because I think Mariner really needs that development for why she does want to get promoted.
Right.
Because she's a very competent officer. She just doesn't want to have more responsibilities.
I think it does have something to do with whatever happened on the Keto, which we still don't know how she got demoted to begin with.
That's a good thing,
We don't understand what happened there.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's a good point, actually. I totally forgot about, something did happen on the Keto. So I obviously I imagine we can explore that at some point and why she got transferred there. Because I think like having, you know, your mother as the captain is not the ideal place you probably want to be as a Starfleet officer.
No.
You know, having your dad as an admiral is worse enough, as you know, in Tom Paris's case. Then serving on a ship with your mum, that would be. I wouldn't want to do that. You know, it'd be a bit,
And I think
bit awkward.
also in this episode, she was talking about how she had these great expectations put on her to get promoted and to do all these things, and that maybe that's not what she wanted. So I definitely see that's a daughter-parent relationship there, and if that's explored, that'd be good.
I would even go as far as to say, like, it does kind of harken back a little bit to a bit of the character arc that Kelvin Kirk had to go through, which was he didn't have the support of his dad because his dad obviously died from when the Narada came through the warp thing, which was much different than Prime Kirk went through. And he had this looming shadow of his dad, who's a hero that saved all of these people's lives. And he was, you know, testing off the charts. He was super capable. Aptitude was great. What is he doing? You know, why is he wasting his life? It's because I feel like the pressures of that situation caused him to act out and go away from what the expectation was. And then eventually something prompted him to take control. And obviously we know that from the movie, but it feels very similar to that, where it's like the expectation of the prodigy child of a captain and an admiral should be this badass Starfleet officer. And she's like, I really am maybe she just cracked under the pressure. Something happened on the Keto that caused her to crack under the pressure. I'm wondering if it's a loss of life, because it seems to be the responsibility thing that she's concerned about. And being under command of a lot of people, it seems to be what she's afraid of.
Potentially.
That's what I'm picking up on, you know.
Yeah, and we could see that, especially from the episode with the crystals.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, they're not my team, they're not my responsibility.
Right.
And with talking about this and thinking about this episode, going back to then, it's almost like she doesn't want the responsibility of them maybe being injured or killed.
Right.
That's a nice way to think about it, which I just thought about.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree
as well.
I think that's definitely digging into a little bit more of the, as opposed to the throwaway line, again, surface level of it is her just being kind of a shitty officer and not really wanting to be associated with this loser team that got caught, you know, and you know, and Ransom and all of his nonsense. But right, like maybe that is it, because there doesn't seem like there's going to be a way out, and they're going to die from the murdered geode. Right, exactly. The deadly geode. And right, I think that she was like immediately starting to like put up mental blocks to separate her from the reality of, if they die, it's not my fault because it's not my team. I didn't do that. You know, and she's trying to prepare herself. I like that. That's good.
A great thing about being a Starfleet officer, as we've learned over, you know, the 50-year plus legacy of Trek, is you know, when you're the captain or the commander, you take responsibility, you put yourself out there, you know, in face of your crew, etc. You see that in Enterprise, in Next Gen, Voyager DS9, where like Archer, people put himself first.
All the way in the pilot, in the cage, Pike's like, I let 2 people die, I'm gonna resign. Like, there's that stress on him that he's responsible for everyone on the ship, and he doesn't want that. So yeah, we've seen it so many times throughout Trek.
True.
And now we're just seeing sprinkles of it in this, but it's really fascinating.
It could be that sort of like coming about, you know, story in a way where it's like she has to, you know, learn that if she wants to progress up the ranks, she has to take responsibility. Even as ensign, you're taking responsibilities though, so she's sort of there. But Seal in the chat here just reminded me of one funny thing. He says, was anyone else surprised when Ransom tried his luck with Captain Ramsey? I thought he was approaching Mariner. It was kind of funny. It's like, well, hello there, and he gets thrown into a table. I'm like, let's be honest, how many people wanted to do that to him or Commander Riker over the years? Everybody wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Which I find
just
hilarious.
Because he's the cool officer doesn't mean that he gets to hit on everybody he wants to. Yeah.
What an asshole!
Yeah,
I thought that was great. The table. Yeah. I love that moment.
Sorry, that was my instinct.
Yeah.
right.
The whole episode though was really enjoyable. Also, I do love the starting bit where Shax, Ransom, and Captain Freeman all running around like doing the tactical seed planting. And what she says on the comm channel at one point is like, we may have to plant some seeds stealthily or something like that.
At any time.
At any
At
time.
any moment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
these
this is
seeds
such-
are highly volatile. Okay.
And what I love is you see Ransom in the background, like, weightlifting with one of the boxes. And you see Shaq sat there like he's seen too much shit at this point. He's just sat there like Clee's enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tactical
that's
seed
good.
planting. Oh.
He doesn't like being stealthy. He just wants to
This was to fire his
beat people
phasers.
up.
Yeah, he wants to target the warp
So
core.
he was
That's what he
really
wants to do.
upset during that mission because like he had to hide around. He
Yeah,
doesn't want
it's
that.
not his thing. Can we just appreciate the fact that they bothered to do the stealth mission at all, and that they bothered to put them into the friggin' black pajamas. I know we're getting more of that in the next episode, obviously, from what we saw from the preview, but I just appreciate the fact that they brought the black pajamas back and they're running around in their ninja costumes. And I just thought that was great. I thought that was really great. It was perfect. And it was just for some dumb reason. We don't even know anything about it. And I like that.
Yeah, it
Planting
was
seeds.
meeting with an agricultural colony in disputed territory. Has to be stealthy.
Right. It has to be stealthy. Right. It has to be a super stealthy mission.
I don't know
it was
about
good.
you, but gardening can be a pretty hostile experience sometimes. Have you ever planted your tomatoes in someone else's yard, Ketwolski, huh?
Well, listen, I think the great Jonathan Archer experienced his own situation with some hostile shrubbery.
Did he know?
Where his dog Porthos urinated on it, and then he
Oh,
had to spend like 4 hours cutting
just
it,
say-
and then picking up the pieces individually and placing them and doing like the thing with his shirt off.
The
Bacula
species-
crushed it. He fucking crushed it. Thank you.
Was it for Cretaceans or something? Was that one's Dom? I think it might have been. Cretaceans or something like that? Or Cretaceans?
maybe.
The tree people. What a bunch of assholes. That like whole episode as well.
Oh, yeah.
It was interesting. That species can go F itself, honestly. And I just love the whole
They're the
thing where he's
worst.
arguing with the Doctor the whole time. I've recently been rewatching Enterprise, as I sent on the other day, and one of the episodes that stuck out to me was what was MSU doing? Is it Progenitor? That episode. What a weird episode that is.
Yeah, with the
The third gender essentially, where
species.
she
Yeah.
dies in the end, or they die in the end, I should say. It's just a really weird episode because it ends on a really weird note. I get it's obviously there to teach a lesson in a way, but it's like you've just got Jonathan Archer shouting at Tucker. It's like, don't shout at my boy Tucker. And then he's suddenly like, that's it. I'm like, oh, okay then. The next episode, Zindi, way, we've blown up a planet.
Oh, the Zindi, the manatees. They're
I
swimming
just
and
watched
talking.
The Expanse yesterday.
I just finished
cool.
the season 3. I just finished Stormfront. I've just finished
How are you
Borderland.
getting so fast through this?
Because I have nothing else to do in the evenings, Dom. I sit down to 3 in the morning watching Enterprise. It's a great idea.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. There's nothing
there's
wrong
nothing
with
wrong
sitting there.
Yeah.
Stop shaming me, Dom. Fucking hell.
Yeah, my God. If he wants to watch the sequence where Jonathan Archer is screaming at animals in an aquarium, then he can do that. He screams at the top of his lungs at those manatees because
Is
they're
this
not
the
doing
Zindi
anything.
one? Oh, it is, isn't it?
That's right. It's the Zindi manatees.
He's just
my
banging
favorite.
on the fucking like thing.
Yeah,
Like, come
he's
back
like,
here.
I'll flush you guys out. I'll litter into your stupid pond or whatever. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he didn't say all
okay.
that. I'm just ad-libbing that. That's an ad-lib. It was implied. That's what he was.
I
gonna
feel
do.
like for a 100k special, we as a channel should ad lib a couple of Trek episodes. We should get the scripts
I'm
and just
fine with
ad lib them. That'd be hilarious. We should pick one of the most weirdest episodes about Enterprise or Discovery ever and just ad lib the whole thing. I'll be Picard or something. I'll be Archer. Nick can be like Tucker.
Oh, of course you're going to be Picard, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dom can be
I'll-
Phlox.
I'll
Just
be
similar
Picard.
qualities.
I'll be Phlox.
No, I'm the Denobulin. Okay, I'm the Denobulin.
Sure.
Fine.
I'll fight you for
Dom
it.
can be T'Pol.
I'll fight you for it.
Yeah, Dom, you can be Mayweather.
I'll be Mayweather.
You could just have like 5
I'll be
lines
the
every
space
episode.
boomer.
He is a space boomer. That's right.
Yeah.
The sweet spot of every starship. Yeah,
Sweet
here,
spot.
Anson, you're
Yeah.
sitting there upside down. Why do I have a Texas accent? And I'm from Florida.
That was like, why do we bother including that? I know. I guess obviously it sets up Travis as like having lived on ships. It's like we never see that spot on the ship ever again. It's there for episode 1, and that's also one problem I have with Enterprise. They reuse the launch sequence about 101 times in Enterprise as a whole. You know when Enterprise launches from Orbital 1?
They love that
They
sequence.
love
That's their
reusing
favorite
that one.
sequence.
They used it again
Yeah,
in season 4. They used it in season 3. It was used in 2 at one point, I think, and they used it in 1. I'm like, for
yeah.
fuck's sake, guys, stop using it. But I guess like in terms of like being a filmmaker myself, you just reuse what works, really, isn't it? Like it's going to look the same way anyway, so might as well reuse
At
it.
least when they bothered to do the Mirror Universe episodes, they digitally added the they changed the opening and they digitally added the Mirror Universe logo on there.
Yeah.
At least they bothered to do that. So budget was tight back then, okay? They were at any moment Star Trek fans wanted that show to get shot into the sun because it was blasphemous. Do you guys not remember early 2000s? No?
I felt like you're taking a piss here.
You saw what?
I felt like you're taking a piss here because we're not going to remember the early 2000s, are we?
No, of course I'm taking the piss right now. Nobody remembers the 2000s. Everybody thinks that I'm making that up when I bring that up. They're like, no way. Nobody didn't like Enterprise. Like, they canceled the show because everyone rejected it because they had phase pistols too early.
As a 3-year-old, I was on the forums.
Oh my God.
Being like, cancel Enterprise.
Oh my God, Dominic.
Father,
are you even old enough to be on this stream? Okay, I don't know.
Wow.
Do we have to label this for children now? This stream?
Wow. All right, someone's throwing some friggin' shade across the port bow, aren't they? Christ.
That's right.
It was a nice, friendly conversation.
You did not just do that. Ow! I'm getting off this stream.
You are like 30 though, so it does make sense. Are you 30? I forget.
I would rather not talk about it.
Oh yeah, we're just doxing.
I would rather not talk about it to either one of you anymore because now I feel like I'm getting much older. You're making me feel like an old fogey.
Do you have one of those like Zimmer frames yet to get around the house on?
The I got the jitterbug that has just like the 10 buttons on it and they're like gigantic and I just press into them, and that's they don't even it
the pike chair. Work. That's what keeps you alive,
That's it. I have the life alert, so when I fall, I can just contacts the police. Yeah, that's my life. That's it.
Anyway, Lower Decks. What was the weaker parts of this episode? Do you think of? Like, what part didn't stand out to you? Really?
I would say weirdly, one of the strongest and weakest elements were actually right next to each other, which was the dog, which was hilarious and I loved it. But then Tendi did nothing the whole episode.
Yeah.
It definitely felt to me. I was very surprised when she went on the ship with the dog, and it almost felt like to me like during the writing of this episode they were like they don't have anything for Tendi to do, and they were like, well, what if she just went with the dog?
To move her out so the other people could mutiny. So it's just like, oh, okay.
Right, and then she wasn't even a part of the mutiny. Right, she went to, and then she did literally nothing the whole episode.
I mean, you have similar situations with Rutherford in some of the early episodes.
Yes.
He's just there being like, ooh, power relays are fluctuating.
But I noticed that's the case with like other like Star Trek episodes as well. I've been rewatching Enterprise. Maybe over just sits there and does F all sometimes. Like even Tucker doesn't appear in some of them. It's a case where like writing a series, like you struggle to like get everyone in the same place because like doing something interesting. It's like I'm pretty sure Trip purges the impulse manifolds about 60 million times in Enterprise just to get him off the screen. And it's like obviously I reckon they could have left Tendi on the ship, but then it'd be like, well, where is she? Like, how would she fit into the rest of it unless she tags on the Mariner?
Right, exactly. That's why I felt like they brought her along, even though she didn't do anything. But you're totally right, though. This isn't an unheard of concept, and in Star Trek, it's very common when you have the ensemble cast. Is sometimes episodes involve specific characters, and you don't even see some of the other ones, and other times it's kind of a couple of them, and the other ones are not doing really anything. It's totally fine. That's the weakest part for me of this episode.
Yeah,
which is, I was really hoping that we would get some Boimler-Tendi interaction. Because, Boimler was the liaison for Tendi in the very first episode, but they haven't really interacted since then together, just by themselves. So I was hoping that, they're on the ship, they talk about something. And, we haven't even seen, much Rutherford-Mariner interaction. It's mostly been Mariner and Boimler and Tendi and Rutherford. So I'd like if they mixed it up more and they had more interaction together, just to show their different dynamics between each other.
I agree. I agree with that. I actually thought to myself the other day, I was like, why aren't they going on away missions as a team together? Like, it seems like a very obvious way to kind of get them to go do something. Now, this next week episode, based off of the preview, it looks like they're all on trial or something like that. So we may actually get this episode where they're all together. And this is episode 8, which is apparently one of the best episodes of the season. So very excited about it. But yeah, I agree. Like they've kept the two teams kind of separated, even though kind of at the beginning and usually at the ends they're all together. But right, like why this would have been a good maybe an opportunity for Boimler to talk a little bit about Tendy and Rutherford's relationship, and maybe they could have had a conversation about that, and I don't know, something like that, or I don't know, like maybe some kind of more formal interaction. But like it was very weird. Like they were having like this little chant in the room with all the other deformed officers, and she was just like, "All right, well the writers are putting me out of the room now, so I'm gonna go stand over here because I would ruin this plot."
I think it's also important to remember, like it just thought occurred to me while you're saying that this is Lower Decks. This isn't the most important starship or most important crew. So they're going to be doing whatever sometimes. Doesn't dictate having all of them. I was in Next Gen or Enterprise. Everyone's down there because this is Enterprise. It's the most important shit around. However, Lower Decks, seed planting is not the most important stuff in the world. Neither is like, whatever he's doing. So it's just, I guess that you could also apply that to why they're not all together sometimes. They're there when they're needed. I guess that could be like a creative excuse to get the writers out of a corner. It just goes down to, I guess also having the cast in different POV areas helps to tell a story, I find. Like, you don't want all your cast in one area.
I would also throw out there that, in case anybody in the chat or who watches this later is misconstruing my concerns about the weakest elements of this, like, this is commentary, I think, in order to get this show even to 100%. Like, this show is already operating at a very high level of efficiency, and it's very well done. And this comment and this feedback, I think, is just to kind of really get it even higher than where it's at, which is already pretty high. And I think in all of our opinions, like the show's pretty damn good. But yeah, there's just a couple of things there that they could kind of maybe work on a little bit more. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Well, see, next week's episode is episode 8, which is said is meant to be one of the best episodes so far. Something like that, did you mention? Is meant to be... Is this a controversial one, or have we been past that one already? Well, how did you describe it?
The controversial one was Badgie.
Yeah, okay, that was
episode 6.
I saw a lot of people talk. I just saw Jerry O'Connell tweet something on Twitter. Where is it saying Jerry O'Connell tweeted this. That's the wrong tweet, Jack. He just tweeted something about like he bit into something and he like formed a Badgie. I just saw it pop up on the sidebar. Oh, here we go. 33 minutes ago, Star Trek Lower Decks fam just bit into this cheese wedge. Do you see what I see? It's basically just a Starfleet Delta, but I guess it also looks like Badgie as well. Star Trek have replied with, "Can I teach you a lesson?" That's actually a great voice impression of Badgie I've just done there.
That was great. I was really proud. Did you actually do the... Are you Badgie?
I was the voice actor for Badgie. Surprise, surprise.
So I wanted to ask you guys something else, which was, we are seeing, and obviously I understand it from a cost perspective, but we're seeing a lot of the California class starship in this show. Do you think that there's going to be a narrative reason for that? Potentially relations to, because obviously we're not quite geared up for the evacuation fleet for Romulus yet. That's not happened yet. We're getting there, but that hasn't happened yet in the timeline, so people don't actually know that. But do you think there's going to be some kind of narrative connection to why it is this California class is now everywhere?
Well,
I wouldn't say it's everywhere, but I'll let Dom answer this first.
Before I think we even saw the ship, Mike McMahon came out and said this ship has always been in the fleet, in like the TNG era. It's just such a lowly ship class that you haven't seen it yet. And it's kind of like the workhorse at the current moment, and it can be outfitted with a lot of different types. So this week we saw the Rubido, which was a command type California class. So I think that's mostly for like moving around ambassadors and other command stuff. I don't know what comes under command stuff, but it does it. And then we've seen the Merced be science for the generational ship, and we have the we have the engineering type, which is for second contact missions, such as we saw in the first episode. We're setting up the subspace relay on that planet. Actually, it's worthwhile to point out, we haven't seen another second. We've only seen a couple of second contacts.
Yeah, like we haven't seen a lot of second contact stuff. Definitely.
Like we saw one this episode with the axolotl species in the bog planet. They said that was a second contact mission of just restoring the water filtration system.
Yeah, so the people who swim in mud.
But yeah, it's just that the California class has been there. It's a ship that just
I guess like the Miranda, it just pops up every now and again.
Yeah. It's basically, well, they said the California was meant to be a mixture of the Miranda and the Galaxy.
That makes sense.
In its design and also its function. So it's
like
basically a Miranda, but it can be outfitted for different missions.
Which explains the, engineering, tactical, and science one. And also, in a way, it does look like it's cheap and easy to build. It's just like the source section placed on two struts linked together. It's not like these intricate designs. Like the Sovereign is obviously, that's quite sleek and probably, dare I say it's sleek and sexy maybe, but it's quite a bit of complicated design, I guess. Much like the Odyssey successor.
Manufacture it faster.
Yeah.
It's a simple design. You can just be like, okay, sources need to be built, struts need to be built.
I get the impression it's not the biggest starship around. The California class can't be the biggest one because we've already seen the Parliament class. That overshadows it completely.
I think it's only got like 11 to 17 decks or
so
something.
We compare it to like the Galaxy class and the Sovereign class. One Sovereign could probably build maybe 3 California classes in a way. So obviously Starfleet is going to manufacture these cheaper. We also got to realize that the Star Trek Galaxy, or particularly the Federation, is reeling off the cause of the Dominion War. They're going to focus on cheaper production, considering most of the fleet was decimated. So it's like, again, we see this in Picard, where, the Romulan supernova and then also the attack on Mars claimed a lot of Utopia Planitia and also the fleet. Starfleet quickly had to rebuild their armada in a way to basically do this. Hence the Zheng He class, or the Inquiry class, however you want to pronounce it. That was brought online, a lot of standardization. It makes sense to build the same class you know is trusted, true, and works. Obviously, by the time of like War 359, Starfleet had a ton of ships floating around, like Mirandas. I think there was another class like the Orleans or something like that. Ambassador classes, there are tons of different things. However, with these recent events and so many starships being lost in such a quick succession of time in a way, it makes sense to rebuild them. Personally, I like the California class. I like the Parliament class as well. I'm probably more a fan of that than the California class, because Parliament looks like an updated Shenzhou in a way, or how you pronounce it. Is it Shenzhou or Shenzhou?
Shenzhou.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, the California class has 11 decks, whereas let's say the Sovereign has around 24 decks. So almost double.
Yeah, which is the reason I bring up the narrative piece of it is, as Jack, you actually hit it right on the head there, which is you got to think from the filming perspective. From the films, we had first contact with the Borg cube attacked Earth and destroyed a bunch of ships, kind of a hodgepodge of a fleet that they pulled out, and then they had Insurrection, where Picard kind of offhandedly says that they were constantly doing diplomatic missions because the diplomatic corps was still wrapped up in the Dominion War negotiations. So that was still kind of happening. And obviously that was still fresh off the heels of the Dominion War. So that's why I was wondering if they were going to add into the narrative piece of like, why did they build these California class starships? Why are they mass producing them? And I think you're right to say like, it is just, they're modular, they're easy to build, they're reliable, and they can continue to do all this work that we need them to do because we've lost so many ships based off of the Dominion War stuff. And I like that idea. I like the idea of these workhorse ships. And I'm not criticism. It was just a thought that came into my head of like, I wonder if they're going to tie that into a narrative to the overall.
So a quick one, just interrupt here. As I missed the notification a minute ago, thank you to Raymond for donating $5. And they say, if a jellyfish alien came back, I want the whale aliens from Star Trek 4 to come back, and Vija 2. More backstory to be enigmatic aliens. Yeah, I agree. I would love to see a reference to Vija. Well, Vija's already, we guess solve that one, but that'd be interesting. The whale aliens.
We got the reference to the whales during the conspiracy board. So
they're
there.
So they've been referenced.
That's canon.
I wouldn't reckon we'll see the alien anytime soon. But speaking of time, Nick, how are you doing for time today? Shall we begin our wrap up or?
I do got to wrap it up here.
That's
shortly,
cool.
so.
Well, I think we've been over a lot of stuff today, so we're in a clear space to wrap it up. We've discussed New York Comic Con, a bit about Paramount Plus, and obviously Lower Decks episode 7. So, Dom, what is episode 8 of Lower Decks called, which will be airing this Thursday on CBS All Access?
Veritas, which I think it means truth in Latin, I guess.
Do we recommend Q turns up in this one or in episode 9?
I don't think there is any way to tell.
Yeah, I guess we have to.
It might either be he just appears at the end or it's a cold open. I don't see
potentially
him turning up being part of the plot.
Yeah.
I think it's got to try and sell that the Cerritos is like the ship Q doesn't even want to go on.
He's not been on the Enterprise E before, so maybe he gets on this one by accident thinking it's the Enterprise D. It's like, voila! Shit, it's the wrong ship. I mean, you walk into the wrong office or room at work. It's like, hello! Oh god, that's the wrong house. That would be such a cute moment. Anyway, so that episode is airing on CBS All Access this week. Don't forget you can watch it. Our review will also be up the same day on Thursday. And don't forget you can tune back in on Sundays at 9 p.m. BST, that's how we say English, to tune in and see us lovely people discussing Lower Decks once again. Obviously, don't forget the key information takeaways today. New York Comic Con is back with Star Trek this coming October on the 8th and 11th. Now, we've only got a couple more episodes of Lower Decks left. Episode 9 is on the 1st of October. The final episode, episode 10, is on the 8th. And then Star Trek Discovery will start on the 15th of October as we head towards or through our 23 weeks of Star Trek content. It's going to be exciting. We're excited for it, and we hope you are too. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's stream. It's been a pleasure, as always, to bring you streams with you. Don't forget, we will be back next week, and I hope to see many of you here once again. Hopefully, we might have a special guest in time. But Nick, Dom, thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed today.
Oh, yes.
Very much
I saw that sarcastic welcome salute. It's terrible. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to beam out of here, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.